Chosen one. Stop right here. Do not scroll past this as if it were just another passing moment. This moment has been set apart for you long before today began. It is no accident that you hear these words. It is heaven's direct intervention. You have felt it all along. Haven't you? That sense of being different, of not fitting into the patterns of the world, while others blend in easily. You carry a quiet distance in your soul. When you tried to silence it, something inside refused to let you forget. The hidden wounds, the restless nights, the unspoken burdens, none of these were random. They are proof that you have been marked. Let me tell you about a young man who once carried the same weight you feel. For years, he labored in obscurity, doing unseen work no one praised, no one noticed. His heart often cried out, "Why must I endure this so long?" But one day, when the door finally opened, he realized the hidden years had been a furnace of refinement. Without that season of anonymity, he would never have been strong enough to carry the mission that awaited him. And so it is with you. Hear this with clarity. Every door that closed was not rejection. It was protection. Every person who walked away was not loss. It was pruning. God has not been breaking you. He has been shaping you for a sudden breakthrough. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you." Picture yourself as a torch covered by a mighty hand in the storm. To others, it may look as if your flame has gone out, but in truth, the Creator's hand has been shielding you, preserving your fire through the winds of adversity. And when the time comes, He will lift His hand, and your flame will blaze in the open, casting light across the darkness. Understand this. This is not just encouragement. It is a summons. You cannot treat this lightly. Take action. Let your response echo in the natural as it does in the spiritual. Like this message. Share it so it may reach others wandering in silence. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you will not miss the reminders that will keep you steady in your journey. And now, right at this moment, I call you to mark your decision. Comment the number 111 as a prophetic act of faith, a declaration that you refuse to miss your appointed time. It is not just a number, it is a sign that you have heard, that you have received, and that you have chosen to rise. Chosen one. Never forget, this moment is a turning point, not chance, not coincidence. This is divine interruption. And you, the one hearing this, are called to stand, to rise, to shine. Chosen one. I need you to feel the weight of this pause. Everything around you may seem ordinary, yet this moment has been stamped with eternity. It is heaven's way of saying, do not miss what I am planting inside you right now. You are not here by mistake. Every scar, every silent cry, every season of waiting is being gathered and redeemed. What once looked wasted will become the very oil that fuels your fire. So, step into this calling with courage. Lift your eyes, lift your heart, and remember, you are chosen, shielded, and destined to rise beyond what you can see. You were marked from birth, before you even took your first breath. The hand of God hovered over your life. While others entered the world as part of the crowd, you were set apart. The enemy saw it too. That is why your struggles have been so intense. even from childhood. What seemed like random attacks were actually proof that hell recognized your identity long before you did. Think back to the early years. You may remember being misunderstood, even by those closest to you. Your dreams felt larger than your surroundings. Your questions deeper than the answers offered. You carried a sensitivity, a weight, a light that drew attention, both good and bad. It was never that you were too much. It was that you were chosen for more. There was once a boy who grew up in a small village. He was ordinary in appearance, but extraordinary in calling. As a child, he could sense things. Others ignored the whispers of conscience, the stirring of compassion, the pull of destiny, while others laughed at his seriousness. He knew inside that something greater awaited him. Years later, the same boy became a voice that lifted an entire community out of despair. His early difference was the seed of his purpose. That is your story too. You are not strange. You are sealed. The uneasiness you feel when trying to follow the crowd is not weakness, it is protection. The invisible wall that blocked you from fitting in was the mercy of God. He refused to let you settle for an identity too small for your destiny. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5, "Before I formed you, in the womb I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart, a prophet to nations." Let those words sink deep. Before your name was ever spoken on earth, it was already written in heaven. Before your eyes opened to the world, the eyes of the Lord were upon you. That is why the battles came early. That is why certain doors slammed shut. It is because you were never random. You were appointed. Think of a crown hidden in a chest. For years, it gathers dust, unseen by human eyes. Yet the crown does not lose its value simply because it is hidden. At the right time, it will be lifted, polished, and placed on the head it was always meant for. You are that crown. Your hiddenness has not erased your worth. It has preserved it. Consider also the image of a river. At its source, it is small, overlooked, easy to step across. But as it flows, it gathers strength, cutting through stone, carving valleys, shaping landscapes. That is your journey. What began small will expand with unstoppable force, because the one who marked you has also sustained you. Do not despise your beginnings. Do not curse your uniqueness. The very things you once wished away are the fingerprints of God on your life. Your difference is not a liability, it is your assignment. You may not yet see the full picture, but heaven already does. And one day, when the pieces align, you will look back and realize every struggle, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer was part of your preparation. From birth until now, nothing has been wasted. Everything has been shaping the chosen one you are becoming. Every wound you have carried, every rejection you have endured, every hidden tear that fell in silence, they were not meaningless. They were signposts pointing to your calling. You may not have realized it, but heaven has been collecting your pain like precious drops, preparing to turn them into oil that will anoint your future. Think of the times you were pushed aside. People may have judged you, laughed at you, or misunderstood your heart. At moments, you wondered if something was wrong with you. Yet what looked like rejection was actually redirection. The places where you were denied entry were never designed to hold your greatness. There was once a young man who longed for approval from those around him every time he extended his heart. He was met with silence or betrayal. For years, he thought his worth was tied to acceptance. But eventually, he discovered that the very pain of being pushed out was what drove him into solitude with God. And in that solitude, he found a strength no human crowd could give. What once seemed like his greatest weakness became the very platform of his authority. This is the paradox of the chosen ones. The greater the calling, the deeper the breaking. The oil that flows from your life comes from the crushing. Without pressure, there is no fragrance. Without wounds, there is no testimony. The Apostle Paul wrote in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your weakness has been the stage where divine strength is displayed. Your scars are not stains, they are symbols. They speak louder than polished perfection ever could. When others see your resilience, they will know it is not by human effort, but by the hand of God. Picture your life as a clay jar cracked in many places. To the natural eye, it looks fragile, even broken. Yet, when the light is placed inside, it is the very cracks that allow the radiance to pour out. So it is with you. The places where you have been broken are the very places where His glory will shine through. And now, I invite you into an act of declaration, not a long sentence, not a complicated phrase, just 3 simple words that carry the weight of surrender. Type in the comments, "I am ready." End quote. Why those words? Because they are both confession and commitment. They say, "I accept my scars as proof of my calling." They say, "I will no longer despise my journey." They say, "I choose to walk forward, even while still healing." It is a short statement, but in heaven's eyes, it is a powerful agreement. Do not underestimate this moment. Your response is a line drawn in the sand, a turning point where pain shifts into purpose. By writing those words, you are not just leaving a comment, you are planting a seed that declares to the unseen realm, "I am stepping into my identity as one of God's chosen." Your wounds are no longer chains. They are the very wings that will lift you higher. And when you declare it, you align yourself with the destiny already written over your life. Your journey has not been wasted, and neither has your pain. When you type, "I am ready," you are choosing not to be defined by rejection, but to be refined by it. It is more than words. It is agreement with heaven that your breaking has birthed strength, and your scars have become a testimony. Darkness has always known your name. That is why the battles in your life have not been random. They have been strategic. You carry a light that has unsettled the shadows since the day you arrived on this earth. Some people wonder why the opposition is so relentless, why the setbacks seem constant. But the truth is this: darkness does not waste its energy on what is harmless. It attacks only what threatens its survival. From the beginning, there has been a spiritual recognition of who you are. Even when you did not recognize your own worth, the unseen realm did. That is why you faced intimidation in childhood, rejection in friendships, or betrayal in moments you least expected. These were not coincidences. They were deliberate attempts to extinguish what was planted inside of you. Think of the story of David. Before he was king, he was just a shepherd boy. Lions and bears came after his flock. Not because sheep were valuable to the world, but because the enemy saw the anointing over David's life. The same pattern has followed you. Your struggles have not been proof of weakness. They have been signs of calling. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. End of crew. Notice carefully, it does not say that weapons will never form. It says they will not prosper. The battles you face are real, but the outcome has already been declared. The darkness may launch its strategies, but heaven has set a limit. What was meant to destroy you will become the very ground where you stand taller. Picture yourself as a lighthouse standing against a storm. The waves crash. The winds howl. And yet the structure does not collapse. Instead, its light pierces further into the night precisely because of the storm. That is you. The more intense the attack, the brighter your radiance becomes. Consider also the image of a seed buried deep in the soil. In the darkness of the earth, it seems swallowed, hidden, forgotten. Yet in reality, the pressure and the covering are what make it grow roots. Without the dark soil, it could never rise into the light. This is why your nights of obscurity have not been wasted. They have been your preparation. When you wonder why the attacks keep coming, remember this: your very existence disrupts the agenda of hell. The atmosphere shifts when you walk into a room. Conversations change when your presence arrives. You may not always see it, but the unseen realm does. The enemy fears what you carry, but fear is not the final word. Greater is the one within you than the one against you. That truth has held you through the storms, and it will hold you in the days to come. You have survived what should have broken you, endured what others could not have carried, and risen from moments that felt final. This resilience is not coincidence. It is the evidence of divine preservation. Darkness knows your name. Yes, but heaven has already written your destiny, and no shadow can erase what God has sealed. Even now, the battles that once made you question your worth are becoming testimonies that confirm your identity. You are not marked by defeat. You are marked by endurance, and endurance always births authority. So lift your head, not in pride, but in recognition. Darkness knows your name, but light owns your destiny. You are standing at the edge of decision. It feels like standing on a cliff, looking out over a vast horizon. Behind you is everything familiar, everything safe but limiting. Before you is the unknown, the wild beauty of what God has prepared, waiting for your courage to step forward. This edge is not an accident. Every moment in your life has led here. The disappointments, the betrayals, the closed doors, all of them have been building this precise intersection between fear and faith. One more step back, and you stay in the cycle that has already drained you. One step forward, and you walk into destiny. There was once a woman who dreamed of freedom, but remained in the same place year after year. She thought she was waiting for a sign from heaven, but in truth, heaven had already given her everything she needed to move. Fear disguised itself as wisdom, and hesitation became her prison. Only when she dared to step out, trembling but determined, did she realize the ground beneath her was stronger than she imagined. The cliff was not an ending, it was the threshold of a new chapter. Chosen one, you know this same stirring. You feel the tug inside. The sense that to delay one more time is to risk losing something priceless. And deep down, You also know, courage will not come fully formed. Courage is born when you move in faith despite trembling. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 31, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" Those words are not poetry. They are a foundation. They remind you that even here, on the edge, you are not standing alone. Heaven is on your side. The unseen armies of light surround you, waiting for your decision. Now let me speak to your heart with an image. Think of your response, your choice to embrace this word as planting a flag on a mountain. No one can force you to raise that flag. No one can push it into the ground for you. It is yours to lift, yours to declare, yours to claim. And when you do, it becomes a visible sign. This mountain belongs to me, and I belong to the one who called me here. That is what liking, sharing, and subscribing truly are in this moment. They are not mechanical clicks. They are flags planted in the soil of destiny. When you choose to do it, you are saying, "I refuse to shrink back into the shadows. I take ownership of this word, and I choose to let it echo beyond me." Then, imagine that each share is like releasing a lantern into the night sky. You do not know exactly whose darkness it will drift into, but you know it will carry light. Imagine that each comment or subscription is like adding a stone to a monument, a memorial that says, "Here, in this moment, I chose faith over fear." No one will force you to lift the flag, to light the lantern, to add the stone. It is an invitation, not a demand. And yet, heaven waits for your decision, because your act of agreement carries weight in realms you cannot yet see. The cliff you are standing on is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your rise. One step forward, one act of faith, one simple decision, and you cross the line from hesitation into destiny. You are at the edge of decision. Choose to step. Choose to rise. Choose to let your response be more than silence. This is your moment to plant the flag. You are one step away. Sometimes it feels as though the ground beneath you is fragile, as though one wrong move could undo everything. And yet, what you sense is not collapse, but transition. The very shaking around you is proof that something new is about to break forth. You are closer to your breakthrough than you realize. There was a man who once stood at such a threshold. His entire life felt like an endless cycle of almost but never quite. Every opportunity slipped just out of reach. Every open door seemed to close before he could cross the threshold. He almost gave up, believing he was cursed to remain in disappointment. But the truth was this: he was in the final stretch of waiting. And when the season shifted, everything changed suddenly. In a single moment, what he once called delay was revealed to be divine protection. Maybe you understand that story more than you'd like to admit. You have tasted almost. You have seen glimpses of what could be, only to feel it vanish before your grasp. But hear this: the waiting has not been punishment. It has been preparation. The delay has been heaven holding you back, not to deny you, but to preserve you for the right time. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Those words strike directly into your moment. The proper time is not random, it is precise. It is not whenever you feel ready, It is when heaven knows the soil is ready for the seed to flourish. That is why you have felt so much resistance. The enemy attacks hardest when you are closest to breakthrough. Think of yourself as a runner in a marathon. The final mile is the most exhausting, the place where muscles burn and lungs ache. Yet it is also the mile where the finish line draws near. To quit here is to abandon the reward that has been waiting all along. To press on here is to cross into the fullness of promise. Or imagine yourself as an artist chiseling away at stone. Day after day, the hammer strikes and nothing seems to change. But then, with one more strike, the entire sculpture emerges. It is not that the final strike was stronger than the rest. It is that every strike before it built up to that one moment. That is where you are now. One more strike away. And so, I invite you to mark this moment, not with many words, but with a single prophetic number. Comment 444 below. Why 444? Because it represents stability, foundation, and alignment. Just as a table cannot stand without 4 legs, your life cannot stand without the balance heaven is bringing right now. Each 4 is a reminder: Father, Son, Spirit, and you, together. Unshakable. By typing this number, you declare that you are ready to stand firm, no longer tossed by doubt, but rooted in divine timing. This is more than a comment. It is an act of faith. It says, I will not give up on the edge of harvest. I choose to believe that my waiting is not wasted. It is a declaration that even when you cannot see the door opening, you trust the one who holds the key. Chosen one. The proper time is nearer than you think. You are not wandering aimlessly, you are walking straight into fulfillment. One step away. One act of faith. One declaration of trust. Do not let go now. Heaven is aligning everything in your favor. The weight you carry is not ordinary. You have asked yourself many times why your journey feels heavier. Why? The battles come one after another without pause. Others seem to walk lighter, their paths smoother, while you fight wars in silence that few could endure. The truth is this: the weight of your journey is proportional to the crown prepared for you. Greatness does not emerge without pressure. Diamonds are formed under crushing force. Gold is refined through relentless fire, and the chosen ones are shaped in the same way through the heavy seasons that bend but do not break. You are not weaker because you carry more. You are stronger because you have been entrusted with more. There was once a man who lived in constant struggle. Every time he reached a place of stability, new challenges arose. Friends told him he was unlucky, cursed even. But in time, he realized that what he bore was not a curse, it was a mantle. The weight forced him into prayer, into perseverance, into maturity. Without it, he would have remained shallow, fragile, and unprepared. With it, he became a pillar others leaned on. So it is with you. The unseen heaviness you carry is not punishment, it is preparation for leadership, for authority, for influence. Heaven places its heaviest mantles on the shoulders it trusts the most. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 11, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. And so, your pain is training you. The discipline of enduring hardship is shaping your spirit for the harvest ahead. What feels unbearable today will become the very strength that sustains you tomorrow. Picture yourself as a bridge. A bridge must carry the weight of endless footsteps, vehicles, storms, and seasons. It is tested continually, yet it holds because it was designed to bear. You are that bridge. The reason your load has been heavy is because others will cross safely because of your endurance. Or think of an ancient tree. Its branches stretch wide and its shade shelters many. But such a tree does not grow overnight. Its roots push deep into the earth, wrestling with rock and soil, finding water in hidden places. The greater the roots, the greater the strength to stand tall. Your roots of faith, grown through hardship, are anchoring you for influence that will outlast storms. Do not despise the weight. Chosen one. It is not there to crush you, but to crown you. Each burden has been a silent testimony. Heaven trusts you with responsibility heavier than most. You may not yet see the full reward, but when the season shifts, you will understand why the weight was necessary. Your shoulders are stronger than you realize. Your spirit is more resilient than you believe. And the crown being prepared for you will testify that none of it was in vain. One day you will look back at these burdens and see them differently. What once felt like chains will appear as the very tools that forged your strength. The heaviness will no longer feel like loss. It will reveal itself as hidden gain. Others may have walked easier paths, but their roots did not go as deep. Your struggles have carved depths in you that nothing shallow could ever replace. That depth is what makes you unshakable. So keep walking with your head lifted. The weight you carry now is temporary, but the authority it births will last forever. This is the mark of the chosen ones, trusted with much, refined by fire, crowned with glory. Delay is dangerous. It is subtle, almost invisibly at first. It whispers, "You have time, you can wait. Tomorrow will be better." Yet tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes another year. Delay is not simply the absence of action. It is a silent thief that steals destiny piece by piece. You know this feeling well. Opportunities have appeared before you, yet hesitation has caused you to watch them fade. You told yourself you were not ready, that you needed one more sign, one more confirmation. But deep down, you knew the longer you waited, the heavier the hesitation became. Delay grows roots, and those roots entangle the feet of the chosen, making every step harder. There was once a man who dreamed of building a house for his family. He talked about it often, planned for it, and even gathered some materials, but he never started. Years passed. Storms came, and his family remained without shelter. Finally, when he did begin, the cost had doubled, and his strength had waned. His dream was not impossible, but his delay made it harder than it ever needed to be. This same principle holds in the spiritual life. Delay is not neutral, it is costly. Every season carries its own window of grace. When the window is open, obedience feels lighter, strength is fresh, and provision is near. But when the window closes, the same act of obedience feels heavier, harder, and more painful. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 1, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring." These words are both a warning and a reminder. Tomorrow is not promised. To live as if you have endless time is to gamble with eternity. The chosen ones cannot afford that luxury, because their obedience is linked not only to their own destiny, but also to the lives of those around them. Picture delay as a slow leak in a great ship. At first, it seems harmless, a trickle of water barely noticeable, but left unattended, the trickle grows into a flood, and the flood can sink the entire vessel. Procrastination works the same way. What begins as small postponements eventually becomes a weight that drowns purpose. Or imagine delay as a shadow stretching longer as the day ends. When you first see it, it seems harmless, but soon the light fades completely, and darkness overtakes the land. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to act. The light that was meant to guide you diminishes with every hour wasted. Chosen one. This is why the call to urgency echoes in your spirit. It is not to pressure you, but to protect you. Heaven knows that hesitation, if left unchecked, become paralysis, and paralysis eventually becomes blindness. You may think you can wait until you feel stronger, until circumstances align, until you are certain. But faith is not born in certainty, it is born in trust. To delay until everything feels perfect is to wait forever, because perfection never arrives. Your moments matter. Every decision, every response, every act of obedience carves the path you walk. To delay is to let the path overgrow with weeds, making each step harder. But to act is to keep the way clear, to walk in rhythm with heaven's timing. Delay is dangerous, but you are not powerless. You can choose to act, to step, to move forward now. Each moment of courage defeats the whisper of hesitation, and in that choice, destiny advances. There comes a moment when obedience cannot be delayed any longer. It is not about grand gestures or public displays, but about the quiet yes of your heart. Heaven listens for that, yes. Because obedience is the language of love. Think of Jonah, who ran from his assignment. His delay did not erase his calling, but it made the journey more painful. The storm, the ship, the great fish, none of those were punishment as much as they were redirection. Obedience delayed is still obedience required, and the longer it takes, the greater the cost. You have felt those inner nudges, the moments when your spirit knew what needed to be done, yet hesitation pulled you back. Maybe fear disguised itself as logic. Maybe the approval of others silenced your courage. But every time you shrink away from obedience, something within you grows restless, because your spirit knows what your flesh resists. The Apostle James wrote in his letter, chapter 1, verse 22, "Do not merely listen to the word, and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." Obedience is not about understanding everything in advance. It is about trusting the one who sees the end from the beginning. To delay is to choose blindness, but to obey is to choose vision. Picture obedience as stepping onto a bridge covered in fog. You cannot see the other side, but the bridge has been built to carry you. Each step reveals more ground beneath your feet. If you wait until you see the entire span, you will never move. But if you trust the builder, the path unfolds with every step. Or imagine obedience as a seed in your hand. It looks small, insignificant, even foolish to plant. But once buried in the soil, it releases a life you could never see while holding it. To refuse to plant is to refuse the harvest. And so, I call you to respond, not with many words, but with a simple declaration. Comment, yes. Lord, now. End of 2. Why this phrase? Because it captures urgency and surrender in 3 short words. It is not a promise for tomorrow, not a hope for someday, but a choice for this very moment. By writing it, you silence the whisper of delay and declare that your heart belongs fully to God. Here and now, do not underestimate this moment. The comment may look simple on the screen, but it is an echo of eternity in your spirit. It is your heart writing its signature in the unseen realm. It tells heaven and earth, I am done waiting. I choose obedience today. Your obedience is not just for you, it is for every life connected to yours. And by declaring it now, you step into the flow of destiny that has been waiting for your response. When you type yes, Lord, now, you are not just repeating words, you are breaking a cycle. That phrase shuts the door on hesitation, excuses, and fear. It is your spirit aligning with heaven's timing, saying that the wait is over and the obedience begins today. The power of those words is not in their length, but in their immediacy. Think of it like lighting a torch in the night. The darkness around may be thick, but the moment the flame is struck, everything shifts. By declaring yes, Lord, now, you ignite a fire that pushes back delay, illuminates your next step, and announces to the unseen realm that your life is moving forward in God's will without hesitation. Your light terrifies darkness. You may not fully realize it, but every time you choose kindness, every time you pray, every time you stand firm when the world expects you to collapse, the atmosphere shifts. Darkness recognizes the flame in you, even when you doubt it yourself. That is why resistance follows you. That is why attacks seem personal. The enemy fears what will happen if you walk fully in your authority. You carry more than words. You carry fire, and fire unsettles the night. Even the smallest candle in a vast cave breaks the power of blindness. That is what your presence does in the world. It does not take crowds or platforms. Simply standing where you are, faithful and unashamed, is enough to send tremors through the unseen realm. There was once a young teacher who lived quietly in her community. She had no stage, no audience, just a classroom full of children. But the way she carried herself, the patience, the love, the prayers whispered under her breath, changed the entire atmosphere of that place. Years later, her students testified that her light kept them from making destructive choices. She thought her work was small, but in truth, she was a warrior disguised in ordinary clothing. So, are you? The Apostle John recorded the words of Jesus in the Gospel, chapter 8, verse 12. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have the light of life. If he is the light and you are his follower, then his light burns inside you. That is why you cannot blend in with the shadows. That is why the enemy trembles when you simply refuse to quit. Picture yourself as a lighthouse standing on a cliff. Storms rage, waves crash, winds scream, but the beam keeps cutting through the chaos, guiding others to safety. That is what your faith does. Even when you feel fragile, or imagine your influence like a lantern released into the night sky, alone. It seems small, But when others release theirs too, the heavens fill with points of light, painting the darkness with hope. Your light inspires others to find their own flame. And now, think of your response as adding wood to this fire. Each time you choose to act, the blaze grows stronger. When you like, it is as if you breathe oxygen onto the flame, keeping it alive. When you share, it is like passing a torch into another's hands, giving them the chance to walk free from their own darkness. And when you subscribe, it is like choosing to gather with a tribe around a campfire, a place where warmth, safety, and vision are sustained together. This is not obligation, it is invitation. No one forces you to tend a fire. You do it because you want warmth to remain, because you long for the flame to reach others who are shivering in the cold. Your digital actions may feel small, but they carry spiritual weight, like sparks spreading through dry fields until an entire forest is lit. The decision is yours, and it is beautiful when freely chosen to plant your flag, to light your lantern, to pass the torch. It is not for me. It is for your journey and for those who will be guided by your light. Chosen one, your presence already disrupts the plans of darkness. Do not underestimate the fire inside you. Feed it, protect it, and let it shine, because the world is waiting for your light. The lonely road of the chosen is not an accident. Isolation has not been punishment, though at times it has felt that way. It has been protection, a shield against influences that would have dimmed your flame or weakened your resolve. Many times, you wondered why the crowd moved ahead while you stood still, why friends seemed to scatter, why conversations grew shallow, why relationships ended without explanation. Yet each moment of solitude was heaven's way of guarding the purity of your calling. Consider the story of Joseph. Before he ever stepped into leadership, he was stripped of his coat, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and cast into prison. He was cut off from family, from comfort, from companionship, alone. He wrestled with confusion, but in the silence, his character was shaped, his vision refined, his spirit strengthened. When the day of promotion arrived, he was no longer the naive dreamer. He was the wise leader prepared to feed nations. Your isolation has functioned in the same way. It has been a cocoon, not a coffin. A cocoon looks like death from the outside, silent, still, hidden. Yet inside, transformation is taking place. Wings are forming where none existed before. The very walls you thought were prisons were the chambers of metamorphosis. The Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10, "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." And those words are a promise that the season of solitude is temporary. The little while may feel long, but compared to the glory awaiting you, it is but a moment. Restoration is not a possibility, it is a certainty. Think of a seed again. Before it rises, it must be buried alone. No other seeds accompany it in the soil. Its growth is silent, unseen, surrounded by darkness. Yet, when the moment comes, it breaks through, not weaker for the hiddenness, but stronger. That is you. Or imagine a sculptor working on marble. Each strike of the chisel separates the block from everything unnecessary. The stone does not get to choose which parts are removed. It simply endures the process, trusting the vision of the artist. Isolation has been heaven's chisel, cutting away distractions, shaping you into something precise. You may have cried in the quiet. You may have felt abandoned in the shadows. But silence has been your training ground. Loneliness has been the soil where your dependence on God grew roots too deep to be shaken. One day soon, the same people who wondered why you walked alone will see the wings that emerged from your cocoon. They will recognize that your isolation was never rejection. It was preparation for elevation. Chosen one, never despise the lonely road. It is not a detour. It is the direct path to strength. Every step in solitude has been a step toward glory. And when the curtain lifts, you will understand that heaven's hand was guiding you all along. And when that day comes, the silence you once resented will become the very song of gratitude on your lips. You will see how the lonely road gave you vision, resilience, and a voice that cannot be silenced by the noise of the world. So take heart in this season. The hidden path is sacred, and the emptiness is holy ground. You are not forgotten, you are being forged. When the unveiling arrives, it will be clear. Isolation was the proof of your chosenness. The door of now is open before you. It is not a door you forced, nor one you begged for. It is a door heaven has chosen to unlock in its perfect timing. And yet, this door will not stay open forever. Opportunity carries an expiration date. Not because God is cruel, but because destiny moves on. You have felt this urgency before, the inner stirring that whispers, "This is the moment." But perhaps you second-guessed yourself, waiting for absolute certainty. The truth is this: certainty rarely comes before obedience. Faith is what carries you through. If you wait until you see everything clearly, you will miss what was meant to be seized now. Think of the Israelites standing at the edge of the Jordan River. The land of promise stretched before them, but hesitation held them back. For one generation, the door closed because fear outweighed faith. Yet when Joshua led the next, they stepped into the river, and the waters parted. The difference was not opportunity, it was response. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 16, verse 9, "For a great door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many who oppose me." And notice the pattern. Open doors often come with opposition. That is why you have felt resistance, even in this season of new beginnings. But resistance is not proof the door is false. It is proof the door matters. The greater the opposition, the greater the opportunity hidden on the other side. Picture the door of now as a train paused at the station. The engine is humming. The doors are wide open, and the conductor is waiting. But the train will not stay forever. At some point, the whistle will sound, and the doors will close. If you board, you move towards destiny. If you hesitate, you remain behind, watching opportunity fade into the distance. Or imagine this door as a sunrise. In the early morning, light spills across the horizon, painting the sky with gold. But it does not wait for anyone. It keeps rising. If you lift your eyes, you behold its beauty. If you stay asleep, you miss it. The sun will not return to the same place again. And so, I invite you to mark this moment in faith. Comment 555 below. Why 555? Because it symbolizes grace multiplied, Grace is not just pardon, it is power. It is the divine strength that enables you to walk through doors you could not open yourself. By declaring this number, you are agreeing with heaven that you will not sleep through the sunrise. You will not watch the train depart. You will step forward into the open door now. Do not treat this lightly. The number is not magic, but it is a sign of your alignment. It is your way of saying, I see the door. I recognize the timing, and I choose to walk through. Chosen one. The door of now stands open before you. Do not hesitate. Do not look back. Walk forward, because what awaits you on the other side is bigger than what you are leaving behind. The choice you make in this moment is not small. It is the hinge that swings the door toward either delay or destiny. When you mark it with faith, you are not just responding outwardly, you are shifting the atmosphere within, aligning your spirit with God's timing. That is why typing 555 carries weight. It is not superstition, it is a declaration. It says, I choose to embrace grace multiplied. I will not miss the open door. I am stepping through now. And heaven honors such a choice with strength to keep moving forward. Heaven's assignment for your life is not random, it is deliberate, precise, and deeply connected to the needs of others. You were never chosen merely to survive, you were chosen to become a breaker of chains, a torchbearer who carries light into places long dominated by shadows. The calling on your life is bigger than comfort, bigger than personal success. It is about shifting atmospheres and altering destinies. You may wonder, how could someone like me carry such weight? Look at your own history. Every hardship you endured, every battle you survived, every season you thought would destroy you has instead equipped you. Heaven does not waste pain. What you endured privately has been the training ground for what you will break publicly. Think of Moses. For 40 years, he wandered in obscurity, tending sheep in the desert. Those silent years felt wasted, but they were forming in him the patience and endurance he would need to lead an entire nation. When the time came, the same man who once fled in fear became the leader who stood boldly before Pharaoh. What looked like failure was actually preparation. So it is with you. You have walked through deserts, not realizing they were your classroom. You have carried battles others could not see, not realizing they were sharpening your discernment. You have been pressed harder than most, not realizing the oil produced would one day anoint others. The Apostle Paul wrote in the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10, For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Oh, your life is not a random series of events. It is design, crafted by the hands of the Creator. You are equipped with specific gifts, unique experience, and a voice the world needs. The good works prepared for you are not tasks someone else can fill. They are assignments tied to your name, written before your first breath. Picture yourself as a key. A key may look ordinary, but its grooves are unique. Only that key can open certain doors. You are that key. The details of your story, the victories, the scars, the lessons are the grooves that make you fit perfectly into locks no one else can open. Or imagine yourself as a torch in the night. A torch is not meant to be hidden in storage. It is meant to be carried, to light the way for others. When you step into your assignment, your flame does not just guide you, it ignites courage in those who follow. This is why your journey has carried such weight. It has not been only about you. Every breakthrough you experience becomes a path for someone else. Every chain that falls from your life is a testimony that breaks chains in another. The chosen ones are never called to walk alone. They are called to blaze trails that others can walk upon. You may feel small at times, but heaven never called you insignificant. Your assignment is etched into eternity, and heaven trusts you with it because you have been shaped by fire. Chosen one, never doubt this truth. You are heaven's vessel, earth's answer, and light's carrier. You were chosen not just to endure, but to transform. And the world will be changed because you stepped fully into your assignment. There are moments when heaven's warnings are clear and sharp, like the sound of a trumpet echoing across a valley. These warnings are not given to frighten you without purpose, but to awaken you from the comfort of delay or the deception of rebellion. You have been walking under mercy. But mercy is not infinite when continually resisted. There comes a time when heaven steps back and silence follows. Think of Saul, the first king of Israel. He was chosen, anointed, and equipped, but he let disobedience take root. He convinced himself that partial obedience was enough. Yet heaven does not bless fragments, it blesses surrender. Saul's throne was taken not because God changed his mind, but because Saul hardened his heart. It was a sobering warning. Even the chosen can lose their way if they turn repeatedly from truth. The prophet Hosea recorded it in chapter 4. Verse 6, "My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I also reject you as my priests, because you have ignored the law of your God. I also will ignore your children." These are not gentle words, they are urgent ones. They remind us that rebellion carries consequences. When knowledge is offered but ignored, when conviction comes but is silenced, destruction follows. Heaven cannot be mocked. Seeds of disobedience, if left unchecked, bring a harvest of loss. Picture rebellion as a blindfold. At first, it feels thin, even harmless. You tell yourself you can still see enough to move. But over time, layer upon layer thickens the cloth until your vision is gone. By then, you no longer even realize you are blind. This is the danger. Repeated rejection of conviction leads to a heart that no longer feels the tug of heaven. Or imagine rebellion as standing on the edge of a cliff with fog covering the drop. You convince yourself there is solid ground ahead. So you keep walking. Each step feels safe, until suddenly there is nothing beneath your feet. The fall is swift, the regret immediate. But by then, it is too late. Chosen one. This is why the warnings of heaven must be taken seriously. Conviction is not condemnation, it is mercy in disguise. Every nudge, every stirring in your spirit is heaven pulling you back from the edge. To ignore it repeatedly is to silence the very voice that was sent to save you. You may think you have more time, that tomorrow will always be waiting, but the truth is, mercy gives space, not guarantee. The longer rebellion is entertained, the harder it becomes to return. And yet, even in this warning, there is hope. The fact that you feel the weight of these words is proof that your heart is still alive, still tender, still able to respond. Do not let this final warning pass without reflection. The cost of rebellion is always greater than the pleasure it promises. The silence of heaven is the heaviest burden a soul can carry. But to respond now, to yield, to To listen, that is life. That is safety. That is grace extended one more time. Even now, heaven's voice is reaching for you through these words. The warning is not to push you away, but to pull you close. It is not rejection, it is invitation to turn, to soften, to return before the silence grows too deep. Let the gravity of this truth awaken you. The window is open, but not forever. The choice is still yours. And while you can still feel conviction, you still have grace. Do not waste what others have begged for and never found again. Rise into your crown. You have walked through shadows, endured trials, and carried burdens heavier than most could imagine. Yet here you stand, not broken, but refined. The road behind you has not been wasted. It has been the forge where your crown was shaped. Every scar has become a jewel. Every tear, a drop of gold. Every battle, a testimony engraved into the metal of your destiny. There comes a time when the chosen must stop looking down at the dust and start lifting their eyes to the throne prepared for them. You were not meant to crawl forever. You were not designed to stay in ashes. You were destined to rise, to wear the crown. Heaven has crafted through your journey. Think of Esther. She was once an orphan girl, hidden and unknown. Yet her trials prepared her for the moment when she would stand before kings and save her people. Her crown was not just a decoration, it was the visible sign of divine purpose. Your crown is the same. It is not for vanity, but for responsibility, authority, and destiny. The Apostle Paul reminds us in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to all who longed." Your crown is not only future glory, it is present authority. You may not see it with human eyes, but the unseen realm already recognizes it. The darkness that has resisted you knows what rests on your head, and heaven has been waiting for you to acknowledge it too. Picture the act of embracing your crown like entering a great hall. At the center is a throne with your name inscribed upon it. On the seat rests a crown, glowing with the light of every trial you endured. No one else can claim it, because it was forged for you alone. When you choose to rise and place it on your head, you step into the authority heaven has been holding for you. And now, think of your response here, not as routine action, but as part of this coronation moment. When you it is as though you lift the crown and acknowledge, yes, it belongs to me. When you share, it is like opening the hall's great windows, letting the light of your crown spill into the streets so others can see and be drawn to their own destiny. When you subscribe, it is like stepping into the royal court, choosing not to walk alone, but to remain among others who are also rising into their crowns. Even your comment can become a declaration in this sacred hall. Write it not as empty words, but as the inscription etched into your crown. Let it be your engraving. Simple and profound. I wear my crown. Those 4 words are not for applause. They are for alignment. They declare to heaven and to yourself that you will no longer leave your destiny on the throne. You are wearing it now. No one can place this crown upon you by force. It is not a command, but an invitation. Like a crown resting silently on a throne, it waits for your decision. To lift it is to agree with heaven's verdict. I am chosen. I am trusted. I am ready. So let this moment be beautiful. Let your response flow freely. Not from pressure, but from recognition. The crown has always been yours. It is time to wear it. Glory, beyond this season, is already being written over your life. What you see now, the struggle, the crushing, the long nights of silence, is not the conclusion. It is the prelude. Every breaking has been preparing you for a rising that cannot be stopped. The story of the chosen is not defined by the pit, but by the palace. Not by the ashes, but by the crown. Not by the wounds, but by the glory that follows. Think of Job. His world collapsed in a single season, loss of wealth, family, and health. Friends accused him. His strength faltered, and hope seemed out of reach. Yet, in the end, restoration came double. His ashes gave way to beauty. His brokenness became testimony. The same God who sustained Job through his lowest valley is the one writing your glory beyond this season. The Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10, "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a while, will himself restore you." These words are not abstract, they are a promise. After the little while, restoration comes. After the pain, glory shines. The process may feel endless, but heaven's timing is precise. What you endure now is shaping a strength that cannot be stolen. Picture your life as a tapestry. Up close, you see only tangled threads, colors clashing, knots forming. It seems chaotic, without design. But when the fabric is lifted and turned, a masterpiece is revealed. This season may look messy from where you stand, but heaven sees the full design. Each knot, each thread, each color has purpose in the picture of your destiny. Or imagine a seed once more, buried in soil, pressed by darkness. It looks lifeless, yet from that pressure springs roots, and from roots rises life. The crushing of the seed was not the end, but the beginning of multiplication. In the same way, the crushing you have endured is birthing something far greater than what was lost. Chosen one, you may have felt forgotten, but glory has been quietly growing in the hidden places of your life. You will emerge, not only restored, but radiant. Your testimony will not be about what you survived, but about what you became because of it. Consider gold refined in fire. The flames remove impurity, leaving brilliance behind. The intensity of the fire does not destroy the gold, it reveals its worth. Likewise, your present trials are not designed to erase you, but to uncover the unshakable strength placed within you by God. There will come a day when those who doubted you will see the evidence of glory upon your life. They will realize that the crushing was never defeat but transformation, and you, too, will see it clearly. The sleepless nights, the hidden tears, the long waiting, all of it was an investment into the strength and authority you now carry. Glory beyond this season is not a vague hope, it is the assured outcome for those who endure. Lift your eyes from the ashes, for dawn is breaking. The horizon of your future is painted with colors brighter than the pain of your past. And the glory waiting for you is weightier, richer, and more permanent than anything you have lost. Sealed by heaven, that is your identity. Long before you faced your first battle, before your heart carried its first wound, before your lips whispered your first prayer, heaven's seal was already upon you. That seal is not fragile, not conditional, not breakable by the storms of life. It is the divine mark that says, "This one belongs to God. This one is chosen. This one cannot be erased." Throughout your journey, you have doubted it. When rejection pressed in, you questioned your worth. When betrayal stung, you wondered if you were forgotten. When silence lingered, you feared the seal had faded. But the truth is this: the seal was never tied to your feelings. It was placed by the eternal hand of God. And no shadow, no enemy, no failure can remove what heaven has written. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 13, "When you believed, you were marked in him with a seal, the promised Holy Spirit." That seal is your guarantee, your anchor, your proof. It is not a fragile stamp that time can smudge. It is the eternal Spirit within you, the whisper that reminds you even in the darkest hours, you are still His. Picture yourself as a letter carried across great distances. The envelope may be torn, stained, weathered by storms, but the seal remains intact. The destination does not change simply because the journey is hard. You are that letter. Though storms have battered you, the seal has held, and heaven's destination for you has not shifted. Or imagine a signet ring pressed into hot wax. Once the imprint is made, it cannot be erased without destroying the seal itself. That imprint is identity, ownership, authority. In the same way, heaven's imprint upon you is irreversible. You are marked not by the opinions of others, but by the eternal decree of God, chosen one. This means your failures have not cancelled your future. Your wounds have not nullified your worth. Even the seasons you felt farthest from God were not outside His reach. The seal remained. You remained His. Consider how many times you thought you would not make it. Yet here you are. That endurance is not coincidence, it is evidence. Evidence that heaven's hand never let go. Even when you nearly gave up, your best days are not behind you. The seal does not just protect you from the past, it points you toward the future. The same Spirit who marked you will guide you, strengthen you, and empower you for what comes next. Sealed ones cannot be stopped. They may stumble, but they rise again. They may be pressed, but they are not crushed. They may walk through valleys, but they carry light that no shadow can extinguish. That is who you are. So walk forward with confidence, not in arrogance, not in pride, but in assurance. Assurance that you are unstoppable, unshakable, and sealed forever by heaven's decree. The world has yet to see the full measure of your calling, but heaven already knows it, and the seal proves it. You are chosen, marked, and destined. Nothing can undo what God has already written over your life. And when doubts rise again, remember this: the seal is not renewed daily, it was set once, and it is eternal. Your fragile feelings do not dictate it. God's unchanging promise secures it. So, rest in this truth. You are sealed. You are chosen. And your destiny is unstoppable. Heaven's mark will outlast every storm. Chosen one. You have reached the close of this message, but not the close of your story. What has been poured into your spirit across these words is not meant to remain hidden, it is meant to grow, to multiply, to ripple outward into the lives of others. This is not an ending, it is the opening of a new chapter in your journey. You have walked through warnings and promises, through valleys and mountaintops, through crushing and glory. And now, you stand sealed, unshakable, unstoppable. That seal is not just for survival, it is for influence, for authority, for a destiny that reaches far beyond yourself. Picture your response here as tending to a fire that has been lit in your heart. When you like, it is as though you fan the flame, choosing to keep it burning brightly. When you share, it is like carrying a torch into someone else's night, giving them the light they did not know they needed. When you subscribe, it is like gathering with a circle of torchbearers together. The light grows stronger, uniting many flames into one great blaze, and your comment becomes the echo of your decision, the engraving of your faith. Let it be your testimony, your personal marker that says, I received this word, I carry it forward, and I choose to walk as one of God's chosen ones. Do not treat these actions as routine clicks. They are sacred choices, symbols of agreement that ripple further than you realize. Every flag you plant, every torch you pass, every flame you fan, these are the steps that align your life with heaven's design. Sunrise. Chosen. 1. Wear your crown. Guard your flame. And walk boldly. The best days are not behind you, they are rising before you. Radiant with glory.